as I always tell people, hindsight is 2020, especially in the investment world. We all can look at the things that's moved in the last 3 or 4 months and go, man, I knew that. No, you didn't, because you didn't buy it.
My money.
I get money from you.
Money in the bank.
Young money.
It's a rich man's world.
No one plans to get into the annuity business. No one says, you know what, I think I'm going to sell annuities, because in the financial world, as you know, annuities are the curse word. So it just kind of happened by chance. I heard one of those Saturday morning radio shows that was pitching indexed annuities, and I called in and I blew them up factually. And next thing you know, people in the area were calling me. And the more I looked into annuities, the more I was appalled by how they were sold, because they're contracts, but everyone was selling them for the hypothetical and the theoretical and the dream and all this stuff. And they're nothing more than transfer risk contracts. So with that, I kind of entered into it, not committed to it, but it's turned into the point where, now I'm licensed in all 50 states, and I'm the biggest agent out here, the top agent in the country, and I've written 7 books on it. And it's not like I'm addicted to the annuity product, because with 40% of the people that call, I end up saying, you know what, you don't need an annuity. And I'm fine saying that. But for people that want to transfer risk, or people that need income, annuities do have their place, also for principal protection. But the elevator speech is, it's not for everyone. And if you're going to buy one, buy it for the contractual guarantees only, period.
Yeah. So how long, the funny thing is that, and how long were you with Morgan Stanley?
Well, Dean Witter first, and then Dean Witter got bought by Morgan Stanley. Yeah, Dean
the old
Witter,
Sears.
Socks and stocks, right? And so Dean Witter got purchased by Morgan Stanley. So that was a little bit too big for me, and so I said, I want to go to a smaller firm. So I went to Payne Weber, and so
how's the Payne?
And then Payne Weber was absorbed by the Union Bank of Switzerland, which was, again, just not what I wanted to do. And as you remember, and you've been in the business a long time, back in the day, you could build your business the way you wanted to. If you wanted to be a bond guy, you could be a bond guy. If you want to be a REIT guy, you could be a REIT guy. If you want to be a stock trader. But now there's kind of a formula to it, and they want you to sell this and that and credit lines and all kinds of stuff. And it just wasn't the autonomous setting that I loved about the firms back in the day. So that's the reason I left. It just, it just wasn't fitting me, because they say, well, your pay grade or your scale is going to be based on X. And then, as you know, they then transition to everybody needs to pay a wrap fee. And my question was, well, what if that person doesn't need a wrap fee? What if the person has 100% municipal bonds, AAA insured? You don't need to wrap that. You don't need to wrap that in a fee. And so the answer was, but yes, Stan, but we need to, because we need to look at future revenue. I'm like, I could give a crap about future revenue if you don't need to wrap it. And so, I have nothing against the firms. I just am a contrarian, and it just doesn't fit contrarians too well. So
now, were you with Payne Weber when they were owned by GE? The old because remember they got sold to Payne Weber. The House of Payne gets sold to UBS. Were you with them before?
No, I was with them in that transition right in between, right when they got sold to UBS. I was there a couple years before that all, and I'm assuming it was taking place while I was moving from Morgan Stanley to Payne Weber. But, I love Payne Weber. Again, it was an autonomous setting that you could do what you wanted to do. And then Union Bank of Switzerland, I've got nothing against them as a firm, but they wanted you to do certain things within their, back then it might've changed now, but back then they wanted to do this, and this. I think the great thing about the annuity world is, I represent all carriers. People always ask me, hey, Stan, what's the best annuity? And I'm like, I don't know. First of all, I don't know if you need an annuity. Second of all, best equals to me is the highest contractual guarantee for your specific situation, period. So I don't know which is best, because I have to quote all carriers, and quotes are like a gallon of milk. They expire every 7 to 10 days. So it's a very simple industry. Unfortunately, the annuity industry has made it complex.
Yeah.
They really have.
Yeah, but one of the things that you and I discussed is that, and luckily I had last week I had a guy named Bob Castro, who was a big influence in my life. He lives over. You're on the east coast of Florida, right?
Right. I'm in Ponte Vedra Beach, which is north of St. Augustine, south of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Bob, he lives over by Naples. But anyhow, he a big influence in my life. But when did you come to the conclusion? This is maybe you didn't come to the same conclusion, but a a lot of these financial products designed by Wall Street, all the risk has essentially been taken, which was once shouldered by the institution or someone else, has all been transferred to the retail investor. This was kind of pushed me into annuities. Okay, when did you realize that all these REITs and funds and all this stuff like that, it's really been, all the risk has essentially been dumped onto the retail investor? Would you agree on that, or?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what kind of moved me away from that is if you look at high velocity black box algorithm non-human trading, I think it's up to 85% of all trades are non-human. So they're trading 24/7, 365, and me and you get to go from 9:30 to 4. So I'm not really sure how that works. And the other thing is, I look at him, and I'm not down on stocks, but if you're in the market, it's like surfing beside a cruise ship. You're going to catch a wave. You're going to catch a wave now and again, but eventually you're going to get sucked under the boat. And you might be looking for a $5 move on a stock, whereas a trader's looking for a penny. And when I read a book recently, it was a couple years ago, and it said that when you hit enter, if you order place an order for a stock on, say, Schwab or whatever those platforms are, whatever you choose, by the time it gets there, when you hit enter, it's been traded over 100 times. That to me, that's a red flag to the retail investor. So what the big firms have done then is then they package up these products and they look good, but I always tell people, if you can't explain it to a 9-year-old, don't buy it. No offense to 9-year-olds. And that goes with annuities as well. All of this complexity, whether it's complex CDs or complex fixed products, or REITs that are complex, not explaining the leverage aspect of some of these closed-end funds, etc. I just think that it's gotten too complex for the individual investor. When me and you back in the day, PE ratios meant something, fundamental analysis meant something, and that's kind of the reason I gave up my securities license, and I only do fixed annuities because I only sell contractual guarantees. I have nothing against variable annuity salespeople, other than the fact that they have to be honest that there's limitations with the investment choices within that variable annuity structure, because they were put on the planet in 1955 for tax deferred growth, and there still are no load variable annuities that do that. But I'm not sure you need to pay 3% annual fee for the life of the policy for the right to buy a limited choice of mutual funds. That's just Stan the annuity man. I know the variable annuity guys are going to send me hate mail, but that's just me looking logically, similar to indexed annuities. And people say market upside with no downside. Well, if that was true, then the Fed would just buy indexed annuities. So, all of the stuff that's out there, I always tell people with annuities, if it sounds too good to be true, it is every single time without exception. There's no exceptions. So if you're nudging your spouse at the Bad Chicken Dinner seminar and going, hey, that sounds great, they're giving us an upfront bonus and we get free health care, long-term care, and it's going to grow by 7%, and we're getting market upside with no downside, then you're the rube at the table. I always tell people, if you don't know who the rube at the table is, you're the rube.
You're the rube.
It's you. So don't be that person. So that's kind of my elevator speech. So yeah, I've watched the package products, and once the firms started doing the package products, that was kind of my exit strategy. Honestly, I just couldn't. If I couldn't explain it to them, I just wouldn't sell it. And I still hold that to this day. That's what I do now.
Now, because when did you burn your bridge, if you will? When did you jump ship, if you will, and just said, this is what I'm going to do?
90s. It was in the mid 90s that I got out. I've been doing this for over a decade, really for about a decade, with a focused intent of disrupting the industry and telling the truth about the product. So it's, I've been out here in this platform just as Stan the annuity man for a while, but I still am scratching my head because annuities are the only product on the planet that provide lifetime income. I'm trying to figure out why the annuity industry just doesn't pound that Pavlovian thing into the ground. Annuities equals lifetime income equals annuities. It's the only product that does that. It's a monopoly. If you had a monopoly in a business, wouldn't that be what you talk about? But no, we talk about market growth and potential and hypothetical and back tested and all this nonsense.
Crap.
It drives me insane. So if I was annuities are for the day, which I should be, this thing would change. I mean, the two words we would have would be got guarantees. These are guarantees. You either want them or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine.
Stan, amen. Yeah, and the whole thing is that, I don't know how old you are, but I serve obviously population between 55 and 78, let's say, generally, okay? But the main problem is no one has any retirement income.
Correct.
And, and the whole thing, how do you de-risk? And because, I mean, this is not my first rodeo in this thing. And I was around in 87. I remember in 87, you couldn't get even a person on the phone. I was around on the dot-com meltdown. I mean, 75% of the companies which were listed on the NASDAQ, okay, 75% are gone. Okay.
Oh, I was there for Global Crossing and Ask Jeeves. I was there for all of that. I saw all of that when I was at Morgan Stanley. I saw people standing in line at the front door because I was the syndicate guy that had all the IPO. And,
you were doing the IPO work?
Yeah, we were doing the IPO work. So I was the god. So I've been there, done that. So I just, the interesting part is 10,000 baby boomers reach retirement age every single day. And in a pensionless world, we are in a pensionless world, and people say, well, I hate annuity, Stan. And my answer is, do you hate Social Security? Because that's an annuity as well. People need income. People need an income floor. I mean, I think the annuity industry is positioned to benefit, but they're going to blow it. The fact that they're not talking about lifetime income over and over and over with everything that they do and focusing just on that will be studied in business schools as one of the biggest marketing blunders of all time, that they didn't take advantage of the monopoly that they have. And for your listeners and your followers, yes, annuities aren't perfect. They're not investments.
I agree. I'm the first one to agree with you.
And when you buy a lifetime income stream, I always tell people there's no ROI until you die. Up until that point, it's a transfer of risk. I will come to your funeral. I will sing a song. I will tell people what the return on investment is up until the point you die. But up until then, it's a transfer of risk. If you do an analysis of investments versus annuities, don't buy annuities. You're going to vomit. They're life expectancy based. People say, well, Stan, the rates are low. When you're talking, if you're talking fixed rate annuities, yes, the rates are low. But when you're talking lifetime income stream, it's about life expectancy. So the education that the industry has done has been so poor. I'm certainly, screaming into a hurricane to educate people on how they fit. And I think it's resonating. I really do. So I just think the industry is missing the boat. In my opinion, I think they all want to be at the cocktail party at Wall Street talking about the markets. And I think the people at the Wall Street are laughing at them anyway. So why don't you just go do the monopoly that you have, which is lifetime income? I don't get it.
Yeah, and the thing is that I've been doing this a long time, and I've sold. I've been blessed. I've owned a pension consulting business. I did a lot of work. Remember the limited partnerships in the 80s and 90s? Oh,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And all this crap. And then the high tech funds, 85 cents in every dollar in 99 and 2000 was going into high tech mutual funds. So then we saw, and then we had 2007, 2008. Now we have these crappy target date funds, which do nothing, by the way.
It's just a packaged product. It's just the next packaged product. So, as I tell people all the time, keep it simple. Keep your investments simple. And if you do that, it's kind of like the Warren Buffett thing. People say, well, Warren Buffett would never buy an annuity. And my comment to that, but if he did, he'd be at a single premium immediate annuity because it's so simple. So, that's what he would buy. But, people just have to understand that annuities are commodity products. Buying them is like buying a plane ticket. You go in, you quote all carriers, and things change. There is no best annuity product. And if anyone shows you just one annuity, get up and walk away, hang the phone up. That person is not acting like a fiduciary. They need to be showing you all carriers and then explaining it to you.
Now, one of the things which I think I emailed you is that, which is kind of amazing, and I figured I'd get a kick out of it because you used to work with UBS.
I did.
And, yeah, you said you knew my old friend Brad there. Yeah, Brad.
I did, Mr. Birkenfeld. Yeah, he's liquid. He's done well.
He's a hammer in search of some nails. But in any event, check out his website, Lucifer's Banker. I don't know if you've seen that, but. How about, I emailed this to you, is that, what do you think about UBS? They just bought a longevity, essentially an annuity, to de-risk their own pension plan. And Bank of America did the same thing, and Lehman Brothers did the same thing. But people still, they don't get it, do they? I mean, is it still difficult for people to put their head around it?
It is because there's so much misinformation. Most people, when you mention the word annuity, they think there's one type, and when you die, the annuity company keeps the money. And I'm assuming people listening to that out here, they're saying annuities. Yeah, that one, I'd never buy one because if I die, the annuity company keeps the money. Well, that's one of about 35 ways to structure an annuity. Annuities are customizable, but again, once again, people think that's how they work. I find it very interesting that companies are transferring the risk with their own money, but yet with their clients, they're not talking about transfer of risk. I think that's amazing because that's what they're doing. That's what UBS and those people are doing with their pension is they're transferring the risk to someone else for the longevity.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that, essentially insurance companies, they have the laws of large numbers working for them. Now, but are you're aware of how much of these other large companies like General Motors and Bristol Myers Squibb and FedEx and all these companies, they're all doing this.
Correct.
Does the general public know about this?
No, that part of the, I guess that you can call that part of the annuity industry, but that part is just is a phantom. I mean, it's nobody knows about it. I doubt if most agents that sell annuities even are aware of what's going on with some of these large firms and the pensions, et cetera. I would say most of them do not. No.
Well, I'll tell you a story, and this is a true story, and this is about 7-8 years ago. I was referred to Bloomberg, and you write a piece in the Street or something, am I correct? Or?
Yeah, I write for the Street. Yeah, I'm on the Street all the time.
And so in any event, but a friend of mine from Norcross, Georgia said, Barry, they're writing a piece on retirement plans and your research they should know about. So make a long story short, I go down there in Lexington Avenue down in Bloomberg, and I was really happy because I was just digging my way out of the whole thing, and I finally did all this research I thought I was going to get out of this. And I was going to show you Bloomberg, where all the banks and even the Federal Reserve put all their money. And this is a true story, and make a long story short, and I showed it to them because I think I sent you my last book where I show where the Federal Reserve puts their own money in fixed annuities, okay? And make a long story short, I thought I was going to get, they said they were going to do a cover piece on me and the whole thing. Never happened, and by the time I get back to the editor, she said, it'll never happen. And I said, why? She said, Barry, what do you want? I said, well, I think the American public needs to know the truth. And she said, it's never going to happen. And she said, our advertisers wouldn't want to know about it. So the point is, who are the biggest? If you do the research, Kantar research, who's the biggest advertisers in, automobile companies, cell phone companies, banks, and asset managers. So the life companies really did a poor job, but they really don't advertise like the way they used to. So a lot of it is just advertising, and so they don't get promoted. But in fact, even the New York Times, Stan, I don't think I told you about this. The New York Times. You know what they did with their pension plan?
No.
They bought an annuity.
None of that surprises me because it makes sense not only for corporations but for people to transfer risk.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's been enough education on what that means. We say it flippantly, you need to transfer the risk. What does that mean to mom and pop America, the person retiring, the person that's worked hard and built up this nest egg? What that means is you're allowing a company to pay you for as long as you live, regardless of how long you live, and you can set it up to where any unused money goes to the beneficiaries. To me, that's a no-brainer. That's an absolute no-brainer. That's a pension. And so for people that need more money, and we don't know where inflation is going, et cetera, these products do have a place in people's portfolio. They should at least be looking at them and considering them, because I think the pitch from Wall Street has always been systematic withdrawals. Put it all in the market and take out 4%. Me and you have been around long enough to say, I told someone this the other day, the moves that you see in the market right now used to happen in a year when me and you were on the street. We used to see that in a year. Now it happens in a day, okay, or in a half a day. 500-point moves are normal. 500-point moves back when I first got in the business, that was a year. Seriously. And so I think people have gotten used to the risk, But the problem is when you are close to retirement in a 4-lap race and you're at lap 3.5, you need to start hitting bunt singles and stop swinging for doubles and triples. And bunt singles are the transfer of risk. It's hard for people to transition from being market guru, I've made my money in the market, to I don't want to do that anymore. And I always think that the biggest hindrance for people to look at annuity is what I call opportunity cost. They're missing out on the next, the next Elon Musk or the next.
Yeah, please.
They're missing out on that. But as I always tell people, hindsight is 20/20, especially in the investment world. We all can look at the things that's moved in the last 3 or 4 months and go, man, I knew that. No, you didn't, because you didn't buy it. So I think people just need to have realistic expectations of return and risk going into retirement. And that's hard because that's not what we've been taught. And that's not what the firms and the markets and the media want people to think that the way to invest, period. They want them to be all in the markets.
They want to gamble, and so they put it all on red, and to me, it's morally wrong. And,
Sure.
and the whole thing is I just know the system is really kind of rigged for insiders and the asset managers. And I'm a capitalist, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
But we need to have more capitalism for ourselves. And, I've been doing this long enough, Stan, where I have people who've had these pretty large, some pretty large annuities. They've had it for 10, 15 years. You know how many complaints I have from the consumers?
Zero. Zip.
Okay. We manage money here too. We also have, and believe me, the phone was off the hook in March. Do you want me? And you start doing really very conservative instruments because we're conservative by nature, and it was even tough for us. So, but with the annuities, they do the job. Now, one of the things is, but what bothers me, what do you think about? You probably may know guys who are in the market still, or in the
Sure.
business.
Yeah, my partners that from back in the day, one's with Merrill and one's owns their own firm, so they're still doing it. Yeah.
And now the hot thing now is alts or alternatives. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy, Stan. With the private equity and hedge funds and distressed debt and real estate and the REITs and the whole thing. I mean, these things are as illiquid as a
Absolutely.
as a frozen lake in Antarctica. I mean, it's just it's kind of sad, isn't it? I mean, I've talked to some wealth managers. Oh, we're selling alts now. It's like it's getting even worse, isn't it?
It is. I was in the firms when the managed futures products kind of first started coming out. That was kind of the first foray into some weird stuff that people didn't understand. And Henry and his guys had packaged these managed futures. I'm looking at what's happening now. Anytime we're in a low interest rate environment like we're in now,
Yeah.
weird products start appearing, whether it's in the life insurance industry or the securities industry, because they're trying to squeeze oil out of a brick, like to sell something, to make something look attractive. But that fear and greed attracts money, and people are always greedy. Everybody wants to be Gordon Gekko. Everybody wants to buy Tesla at 5 and see it go up. Everybody wants to be that person. I just tell people, you're not that person. You've worked hard for them. Most people have really worked hard for the money. They're not trust fund babies. They didn't inherit money. They've really laid it on the line, and they're at the finish line. It's just hard to say, listen, let's look at contractual guarantees. The way that I approach annuities is very, very simple. I ask people 2 questions. Everybody asks 2 questions. And I got thousands of clients in all 50 states. What do you want the money to contractually do? And when do you want those contractual guarantees to start? That's it. The answers from those 2 questions either tell me you don't need an annuity, or it tells me the type, and then we go quote all carriers. The other thing that I do too is an acronym called PIL. P stands for principal protection, I stands for income for life, L stands for legacy, and the other L stands for long-term care, confinement care. If you don't need to contractually solve for one or more of those things in the PIL, you don't need an annuity. It's just really, really that simple. And those are the books that I've written. I'd be more than happy to send them for free to your listeners. Just go to theannuityman.com, give us your shipping address, we'll ship them to you. easy reads, but that's my approach. And everybody in the industry is like, it can't be that simple. No, it is that simple. And so my phones don't ring because people buy contractual guarantees, period. Now, do I lose sales to the dreamers and the pitchers and, the high pressure guys? Absolutely, because I'm not going to do that. With where I sit, and people say, well, no one would buy an annuity. Annuities are sold, they're not bought. Not here, they're bought. You need to make the decision on your terms and on your time frame because you're talking about a contract. So there's no urgency. It's a contract. The contractual guarantees either make sense
It's a contract.
or they don't. And if they don't, that's fine. But if they do, great. And that's an annuity. The problem is the space of the annuity world is sucked away. All the air sucked out of the room by the variable annuities and the indexed annuity pitches out there, which are the pie in the sky, unicorns chasing the butterflies, market return scenarios. And you can't buy an annuity for that. And I really wish, the annuity industry would reel that in, but that's where they make the money.
Yeah, I always say, my father and my mother always just say, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
And with annuities, there's no exceptions, period. There's none.
Now, what are your thoughts on now? As you know, Wall Street's getting more into the life space now. And this is, I think you and I, we talked about Athene getting into it, and Blackstone owns with F&G, and Global Atlantic, which is the old State Mutual, which is now,
Right,
the KKR just bought them.
Right.
And Guggenheim owns Security Life, which they use some of the reserves to purchase the Los Angeles Los Angeles Dodgers and leverage buyout.
Right. When you see the Los Angeles Dodgers play and you see Security Benefit Life in the left field ad, there's a reason for that. It's common sense. If I'm going back to just straight demographics, there's a demographic tidal wave of baby boomers hitting 65 every single day, 10,000 of them hitting every single day. I wrote an article on Market Watch a couple years ago, and it was a kind of a fictitious picture of these hedge fund guys sitting in a smoky room drinking really good scotch and going, we really should look in the annuity business because you see all these people that are retiring. I mean, they're trying to get in front of all of this demand for products, for de-risk, for principal protection. I don't blame the private equities and the hedge funds for getting in it, but as you and I both know, once they get in it, they're going to mess it up, man. Those guys are going to mess it up. And so my concern is that the industry that I once knew, which was a bunch of old fat guys from Iowa running things that were really, really boring, and you couldn't barely have a conversation with them because they were just boring, is no longer those people running it. There's a lot of go-go money involved, and there's a lot of consolidation. I just think it's starting right now. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot more private equity, hedge fund type money get into this. People just have to be aware of it and do their homework and make sure the claims payability and the ratings and all that is in line with your expectations of what you want out of a carrier.
Yeah, because I've told a lot of people, wholesalers call me all the time. I said, look at, any of these companies, I'm never going to do business with them. And because I just know, matter of fact, there was one, I think it was owned by Eldridge Industries, which was a private equity spinoff of Guggenheim. Mm-hmm. And they acquired, was NPC Pizza, which was the largest, Pizza Hut and Wendy's franchise. They own 1,500 stores in the U.S. They just went bankrupt. And the thing is, they've been using essentially they've been gutting the portfolios and the reissuing, substandard, junk or CC, that type of thing into life portfolios. So, in any event,
well, let me add something to that. I really believe, my hope is, and it might be a veiled hope, is that the people that regulate the fixed annuity world, which is the world that I live in, are going to do a good job of oversight. I always tell people, annuity companies, life insurance companies are not smarter than banks. They're just more regulated than banks.
Thank God.
They're not allowed to do the things that banks typically do. As long as those rules are in place and are followed and enforced, I think the fixed annuity space is going to be fine. But I say that meaning that they need to enforce it. There can't be any gray areas that are created by some of these new buyers. That's all I'm saying. But with the rules that are in place with fixed annuities, things are going to be okay. And also, too, the annuity industry, which I find fascinating, honestly, from not only a mathematical standpoint, but just as an industry. The annuity industry is a confidence industry. In other words, if a little old lady from St. Augustine misses her annuity payments, then the annuity industry is over because they're going to go on TV and then people are going to lose their confidence in annuities. I always say the best protection for annuities are the bigger companies that are kind of self-policing the smaller ones. I call it the annuity mafia, for lack of a better phrase. So the annuity mafia are the big boys looking down on some guy, not following the rules. They'll either put him in line, say, get it together, or they'll buy him. In other words, the golden goose is going to be protected by the bigger annuity companies because of the demographic tidal wave. So I think that is a level of security that can't be quantified, but it can be talked about because I think it's real.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And the thing is that I'm kind of a snob. I tell people I like big mutual companies because I just do. I mean, it's because there's you just have less conflicts of interest. It's just
Agreed.
But I would be the first to agree with it. The funny thing is that the industry has the best products in the world for people for lifetime incomes.
Sure.
But they're doing a lousy job of promoting. I give them a D- at best in promoting it.
At best.
What would you think? I mean,
I just, the fact that when you see the annuity sales numbers and the simplistic products like a deferred income annuity, a qualified longevity annuity contract, single premium immediate annuity, multi-year guarantee annuity, those are all at the minuscule bottom of the sale. And then the variable annuity and index annuity, I don't have any agendas against them, but they shouldn't be at the top. The way that we solve this is extremely simple. It'll never happen because it's this simple. The way that you solve it is the two things need to happen, but they'll never happen because it's common sense. Number one, every annuity product should pay the same commission across the board. What that would prevent would be product steering for commissions, okay? I mean, that's the way to get around all of this. This is my favorite product. If all the products paid the same commission, you steer people to the best product for their solution. The other thing, you be transparent about what the commission is. They tried to do that a couple of years ago, but that got shot down. But so show the commission. The commissions are all the same regardless of the product, and no types of incentives, cars, things like that for selling fixed annuities. That would solve the problem. Truly, overnight, it would solve it. But it's never going to happen.
Oh, no, it's not going to happen. But the whole thing is that also I've done, even in my own business, I mean, let's face it, they don't want to talk about it, but the AUM model, okay, your former, the wrap fee model.
Absolutely.
People think about commissions with annuities and all that stuff. The AUM, assets under management, is a hell of a lot more lucrative than the annuity business. I mean, really from an income stream type of thing, because I've done the numbers. If you look over 10 years, if I had $1 million in annuity and if I had $1 million in AUM, and I don't know, what are they getting? 100 basis points, 125 basis points now. It's a lot more lucrative for the advisor, if you will, under the AUM model. Would you agree? Or
Totally agree, but let's dig deeper into that a little bit more. The reason that when you go into a bank or a brokerage firm and you ask your advisor about, just mention the word annuity, like no, it's not true. And the reason is they can't wrap that asset. And with immediate annuities and the simple, they can't wrap that asset, so they're not going to get a perpetual income stream off of it. I'm not saying that's the only reason they say that, but it is the primary reason. And the other reason is most of the wirehouses have a limited shelf space of annuity carriers. I believe that there's a shelf space fee for this. They used to be in the past. I don't know if they've gotten rid of that, but in other words, to be on the potato chip aisle at eye level, you got to pay to get at eye level.
You got to pay to play. I mean,
exactly. So there's some pay to play issues there. But what's happening in the annuity industry, which I find just fascinatingly stupid, is in the indexed annuity world, and people have to understand, in 1995, indexed annuities were created to compete with CD returns. That's exactly what they do. They're very good and efficient delivery systems for income rider guarantees, but they're not market products. They're not securities. They're life insurance product issued at the state level, period. So if agents are going to talk about it as a market product, then let's make it a security, okay? But what I'm seeing out here, getting back to your original premise about wrapping, I'm seeing indexed annuities being sold as a wrapped product. And my first question is this, having been in the industry, having been at all the firms, is so you're going to wrap a product that you can only change one time per year. So you're going to pay a person a wrap fee to look at a product for 364 days that they can't do a thing contractually, but they can change it one time per year. That's the effort the annuity industry is going toward, because they want more brokers and advisors to sell indexed annuities. So they're saying, take this product that we can only change one day per year, and let's put a wrap fee on it. That makes as much sense as my initial conversation about municipal bonds being wrapped. Don't just wrap a product because you can. You wrap it because you manage it, and it warrants the wrap fee. But what I'm seeing now in the annuity industry is people call me up and say, well, Stan, what do you think about this wrapped index annuity? I said, that makes no sense. It's not even common sense. I know I'm going to get the hate mail and all this stuff, but someone needs to explain to me in the industry how we can look a client in the eye and say, we're going to sell you this indexed annuity. It's a fixed annuity. It's a CD product. Okay. It's a life insurance product. We can change it one time per year, but we're going to put a wrap fee on it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I get, because I have my own RIA, and so I get emails from, unfortunately, when you're RIA and you get on a list, and everyone's trying to do exactly get me to sell these wrap products, and I just don't. It's not good for the client. But another thing is, do people really I like things which are structurally sound, As you know, a life company, if you go into like an executive vice president of a life company, or you went to the executive vice president of a bank, the guys who look like almost the same, they're probably wearing the same suits and have the same Oriental rugs and all that stuff.
They are. Yeah, they are.
But people don't realize how leveraged these banks are, do they? I mean,
no. We don't. We don't even know. We have a feeling we know, but we don't.
Well, what happened after the start of the repo market in last September? There is no reserve requirement for these banks. That's incredibly frightening.
Absolutely.
But if so most people understand, leverage, fractional reserve lending. Heck, your old in Switzerland, it was Brad Birkenfeld says, we don't have to have any reserves,
Well, and Brad was around too, where people look up Brad Birkenfeld. He's a character. He's a great guy. But and you'll find out why we're talking about him. There's this underlying story that's pretty good. But back in the day with the Swiss annuities that you could put money over there. I mean, that was where all this kind of started. I think with Brad, and I was there during that time period, kind of at the end of it. But there are no more Swiss annuities, let's just say that. So, I get calls about that all the time, and I think there's people over there trying to do it, but it's never going to be like it was, where it was, for people that don't know, Swiss annuities was kind of an anonymous place to put your money. Let's just put it like that. But my point is that the banks, okay, when you understand an insurance company, they can't lever their portfolio like a bank to the high heavens. So when someone puts $100,000 or $1 million into a company, or $10,000, every single dollar has to be accounted for and reserved. Agreed. And it's just to me it's just so simple, but it's still an uphill battle telling people the truth, isn't it? It is, and my concern, we talk going back to something you brought up, I think is very important, which was the hedge funds and the masters of the universe of Wall Street getting involved in the life insurance business. Listen, they're looking at it, they're seeing all this money flowing in, and they're trying to get their hands on that money. My hope though is that the fixed annuity regulations prevent them from getting their hands on that money the way they want to get their hands on that money. This is a great business. I mean, if you had an extra 200 or 300 million just lying around, the life insurance business is a great business because it's all about You know what? I always tell people, life insurance companies have the big buildings for a reason because they know when you're going to die, and property and casualty companies don't because they don't know when the hurricane's going to hit. You know, just with the demographic tidal wave coming, this is going to be an interesting next 5 to 10 years to see how the industry attacks from a marketing standpoint this tidal wave of demographic baby boomers hitting. I don't know how they. I guess they're going to be successful in spite of themselves, but if they really had their act together and they had one coherent message and stayed in their lane, this would be a multi-trillion-dollar annuity industry. But right now, it's more like a $300 billion industry. That's how bad I think they're mishandling it.
Yeah, what it was about, only about, I don't know what the statistics are, what about 6 or 7% of the population owns an annuity? It's very, very small.
That's absolutely ridiculous when you think about the fact that annuities are the only product that can provide a lifetime income stream. I know you're going to have people say, "With Stan, I can buy a 30-year bond." I'm talking about transfer of risk. I'm talking about what happens if you buy an annuity for lifetime income and there is a breakthrough medically and we're going to all live 20 years longer. You've won because now they're on the hook to pay. I just think there's value in transferring that risk, even if from the standpoint of protecting your principal. That's a transfer of risk as well. You're transferring the risk to protect your principal from market losses with a fixed type of annuity like a multi-year guarantee annuity. I think there are places for it. I just think the annuity industry is still the cuss word. You know, people still hate them. You know, some of the advertisers have done a good job, you know, saying I hate all annuities or I'd kill myself if I bought one.
Ken Fisher, yeah.
And my question to those people is, hey, you must then don't take your Social Security and don't take your pension because those are
annuities.
Period. So don't be a hypocrite. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. So Ken Fisher. I mean, he's a brilliant marketeer on that. Absolutely. So you know, so the whole thing is the well, we have this has been fun and. I want to get this out there because people really need to know about it because there's really not that many solutions for the retirement problem, the transfer of risk. And you know something, Stan? Like I have some clients now who, you know, some of them have been clients of mine for 30 years, and I have some of them where, gee whiz, we've done some of the annuity work for them in the late 60s, and they were kind of apprehensive about it and the whole thing. And now they're 79, 80, okay, and they're losing it, okay? You know, and God bless them, okay? And guess what? All these payments and everything, direct deposit every month, the whole thing, and there's nothing to worry about, and generally there's some contingencies where there's 10-year certain, 20-year certains. So when the people die, the money goes directly to the beneficiary, and you don't lose all your principal. You don't lose all your principal.
People need to look at annuities as, okay, you have this income floor. What is an income floor? It'd be Social Security, a pension, dividend stocks, something that's going to hit your bank account every single month. That's where annuities truly fit in. So you can either gap fill for a specific amount. You can say, Stan, I need $1,275, and you can fill it. And also, too, what needs to be kind of put on the table, people always ask about inflation. There's not an annuity on the planet that specifically solves for inflation and does it well. Annuity companies have the big buildings for a reason. If you want to have an increase to your payment, then they're going to lower the payment. Okay, they're not going to give that away like Social Security gives that away. So people just need to be rational about their expectations for these contracts. I would encourage. What I'm trying to do is educate. I've gone on this mission. I put out a YouTube video on annuities every single day, Monday through Friday. I do a podcast every week on annuities. I've written these 7 books. I'm really trying to educate so you can make an informed decision. You know, I would, 1 second of self-promotion, go to theannuityman.com and check it out. We will not bug you, call you, show up at your door. You know, we don't meet with anyone face-to-face, and I'm never going to be your friend, but I'm going to be a really good advisor because I'm going to tell the truth. You don't need a friend as an advisor. If you need a friend as an advisor, get a dog.
Yeah, yes. So we're like minded, and that's why I wanted to really get you on because, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and the other stuff, a lot of it just doesn't work. I mean, no. And you know, and I just this morning I was actually doing some work for a guy in Georgia, believe it or not, and I'm looking over his portfolio, and it's with Vanguard or something. And he's got all these high yield bonds, and I said, do you know what those are? He says, no, they're high yield bonds. I said, no, they're junk bonds.
Yeah,
You know?
you can call them high yield all you want, but yeah, I'm amazed sometimes when I look at people, and like I said, I don't have a securities license for a reason. I sell fixed annuities, but I do laugh at a lot of the risks that people are have in their portfolio, and they don't know about. They don't realize the risk, and you have to understand. And we're old dudes. We've been in the business for a long time. Most of the advisors out there have never really seen a true market correction. We've seen people walk outside and throw up. I mean, we've seen chaos. We've seen crashes, legitimate ones. And a lot of the advisors have only seen a bull market. And even in the pandemic, even in these chaotic times, they're still seeing a bull market. So, I would just be careful with the advisors that are always bullish. You can't always be bullish. There is going to come a time that the printing of all this money, the piper has to be paid eventually. I don't know when that's going to happen. It doesn't look like anytime soon. But for the rational people like me and you that have been around the block, we've seen it, and it's all math. The math's not working long term. And so you're going to have to look at a flight to safety, a flight to quality, and transfer risk. What I don't want people to do is be forced into it. You need to be proactively looking at that now.
Yeah, and the thing is that, unlike you, we do comprehensive planning for people around we do a lot of high-end financial planning for people,
Sure.
But, Stan, I don't know if you've been following the market, what my fear is essentially these CLOs are collateralized loan obligations, no covenants again. It's like, here we go again,
But worse.
But worse, much worse.
It's worse than 2008 ever thought about being.
It's much, much worse.
I mean, if you watch the movie The Big Short, the next movie is going to be called The Hugely Bigger Than Ever Short. I mean, this is going to make that time look small because we're back to where we were, unfortunately. Me and you see it, but it's like I said, we're kind of screaming into the hurricane, right? No one's hearing us, but we're trying, right?
But we're trying, and so people can find you at Stan the Annuity Man, right?
Just theannuityman.com, and you're not going to be pushed to some little junior Stan the Annuity Man. You'll talk to me. Everything runs through me. I have a great team that surrounds me that affords me this type of luxury of talking to you and just talking to clients. So my whole day is probably like yours, talking to people and listening to them. If I never sell another annuity in my life, I'm good. Which means that, I look at I'm brutal, and I call myself the walking middle finger of annuity truth. I am brutally factual. And if, I'm not going to allow you to tell me about what the guy said that's trying to sell you annuity. I'm going to tell you the truth. And so if that's appealing, then I'm your guy. If you want a friend, you want to go golf with someone, that's not going to be me.
He counted on America to be passive. He counted wrong.